Hello everyone and welcome to the Hunter Association, your source for all things Hunter x Hunter. My name is Kaige.
And my name is Dylan.
In this week's episode, we will be covering Volume 35, Ship of Fools. So, before we get into that, however, I do want to go over some news. We actually do have news today, or this week rather, not specifically today. The big news this week is, unfortunately, on Monday of this week, Togashi announced that he is experiencing back pain again. Heartbreaking.
It's ironic how we kind of talked about, we hope he doesn't, go back into bad health anytime soon, last episode, and now it's literally like a day or two after that episode was posted.
I know. Terrible timing. And I do actually want to touch on this a little more because this kind of sparked a whole debate online. I'm not sure if you really caught wind of this, Dylan. Basically, people were talking about whether or not Togashi should get another artist to continue the series. There was a lot of arguments on both sides, but I just want to say that I really think that if Togashi wanted to hire another artist to get this done, he would have done it years ago. He's very intentionally... He wants this series to be done by his own hands. That's what's happening here. And that's what a lot of artists on Twitter have kind of weighed in on. It's just like, he doesn't want his art to fall into somebody else's hands. He wants to do this on his own volition. And while personally I don't exactly agree with that method because he's killing himself for his art, which I respect the hell out of. Like that's amazing, but it just sucks to see a man ruin his health and life for his work. But it's more than just his work. This is his passion project. He loves this thing a lot. And so do we all. So it's a double-edged sword. It's a really tough thing to really wrap my head around how I really feel about it. But at the end of the day, just let the man do what he wants, really. We can't stop him. We're not going to stop him.
Yeah,
it's nothing we can do.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. He's stubborn to a fault, and that's been historically known, I believe. And while I do wish he would pass off the art onto somebody else, even just as an assistant kind of role. His wife is the artist of Sailor Moon. The options are right there on the table, But
yeah.
Obviously, this is his kind of passion project, his life's work, even you could say.
Absolutely.
I can't really fault him for wanting to kind of stick with it on his own then in that case, because if it's that important to him, I get it for sure. It does suck that he is kind of breaking his back literally over this series.
I know. Well, that's enough of that. I just wanted to kind of touch base on it a little bit because it was a hot topic online this week. Just everybody stay respectful about it. I mean, it's gotten pretty heated on both sides throughout this week, and that's not necessary. It's both sides just wish the best for Togashi, and that's what makes the argument really silly to me.
Yeah. They're literally fighting for the same thing. They don't even realize it.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, better news this week though. He did finish inking chapter 417, so that's a win. That's great.
Yeah.
And work on 418 begun yesterday, actually. So
getting ever so close to 420.
Very close. It'll just be a lot more slow progress from now on because of the back pain.
Yep.
Also, one last thing before we get into the volume. Actually, a couple more things. I do want to talk about one thing. As of this episode, I'm going to introduce timestamps in the description. So if you guys want to skip straight to the volume recap instead of listening to us ramble at the beginning, you guys can go ahead and do that. On YouTube, you can just click the button, but on Apple Podcasts and stuff, you have to skip to the timestamp manually, but I'll put it in the description. Also, another note, I tried this week, I put on our community tab on YouTube, I put a call out asking for thoughts on the volume that we were reading. I knew nobody was going to respond to this one. It's too early, but I tried anyways. It got 2 likes, weirdly enough. You could have responded, guys. I mean, come on. But so yeah, I just want to say that from now on, I will probably put a call out post at the beginning of the week to say hey, if you're reading along with us, submit any thoughts you have about the volume that we'll be covering at the end of the week, and we'll read them on the show.
Yeah, just another avenue to leave some thoughts or, impressions on whatever volume or chapters we're reading at the time. So
yeah. And so in relation to feedback, we got some corrections from previous episodes that I wanted to talk about real quick. This is in addition to later on at the end of the show where we'll just read viewer comments. This is a separate thing because I wanted to do it right at the top of the show because one of these issues or mistakes was actually pretty jarring and kind of embarrassing, to be honest. So I'll just read that one first. So it comes from Rex George Rodriguez, who commented in the last episode as well. So that's 2 episodes in a row. Thank you so much. Let's make it 3. So actually, he says, post-mortem Nen or Nen after death is not a new concept. It was introduced in York New City, where Finks explained to Killua and Gon that they cannot kill Kurapika because he had used his chain on Crollo, forbidding him to use Nen and making contact with the troop members. He revealed that they are afraid that Nen after death will trigger if they attack Kurapika and serve Crollo, since post-mortem Nen and are mostly fueled by intense emotions such as revenge and hatred. Right. This also appears in the Chimera Ant arc. This is the one that really caught my eye because, it even says it in the narration. I just totally forgot. Where Pito's ability continues to activate despite her death to attack Gon out of pure emotion to protect the king. And this current arc, this is the one that got me the most because I was like, come on, man, I just talked about this. I'll just summarize this next part. The whole arc is post-mortem Nen. The succession contest itself is that of the first king of the Kakin Empire. Mm-hmm. I'm dumb. My bad. I should have looked into it before I went and said that this was a new concept. That was stupid of me. But yeah, this has been around for a very long time. It's really ramping up right now. It's at the forefront of everything. It was more of a background element before.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's the difference right now, right? Is that this kind of bringing... it's being brought to the forefront of our minds now with the current arc, and it's like before it was kind of serving as like a more of like secondary information, I guess is what you could call it, for those other incidents. So it kind of makes sense why we kind of forgot about those instances. But yeah, I felt very stupid reading that also. So thank you for bringing that to our attention because it makes a lot more sense now as kind of like it kind of built up to this concept prior. So. Good to know. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. That was very helpful.
Yeah.
Then we got 2 more just this morning, actually, from Broly Bronzile 6283, who the first one, he says that the chairman election arc talks in depth about how Pariston obtained the Chimera cocoons. I looked into this. Correct. They did talk about it, and yes, they are cocoons specifically. I wanted to bring that to your attention, Dylan, because they're not hatched yet. The idea would have been, if the plan with Beyond fails, he will send the cocoons to the Dark Continent, have them hatch there, and then take over. In theory,
I see now. Yeah,
and basically, he got these because the Hunter Association was given all of the land that the Chimeras took over after the incident.
Right.
And so Pariston took all of the leftover cocoons for himself.
And that makes a lot more sense now on how he's able to like control them, quote unquote. So that checks out now. I get it.
I imagine that will be very important in the future, should we get that far at least.
Yeah, that's like Pariston's panic button, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then also he did say, I don't even know if this is a correction because I don't even know if we talked about this, and this is something I did know, so I don't know, but I'll read it anyways. He said that Gon reunited with Kite inside the Kakin Empire.
I didn't even realize that they met within the Kakin Empire, so that was brand new information to me, so thank you for that.
It is interesting, and I responded to his comment, and if we have time before the manga comes back, I would like to do a whole episode about the Kakin Empire, just kind of going over their history throughout the series, because it actually goes back further than you would have thought. They've been mentioned a lot throughout the series, and I'd love to go more in depth about them, but that's a later episode if we have time before the manga comes back, at least. That's the plan.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's a little correction corner at the beginning here. If we ever get anything wrong again, feel free to let us know, and I would love to mention it because I'm very passionate about getting correct information out there.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, I believe we're ready to get into the volume.
Sounds good to me.
All right, this is the volume recap for volume 35, Ship of Fools. Dylan, what do we think about this cover?
It's very fitting. The entire volume, before we get, really into it, is kind of about just the contest in general, and specifically about how the princes are being imprinted with these Nen beasts, and the cover is really showcasing that in a really effective, ominous way. And it's very cool. I like it.
Yeah, I love the king kind of looming over the whole thing. It's a really nice composition. Your eyes follow it really well.
Yeah.
We got all the princes in there. Really great. I love this illustration.
I like the coloring used as well. Just kind of
yes.
like the yellow and blue, just kind of fading in with each other. It's really
very nice. Yeah. All right, so let's begin. We open immediately where we left off with Sayrid charging at Kurapika with a knife. And as Dylan predicted, that was definitely not a problem at all in any capacity.
No.
Kurapika uses his chain to restrain his hand, and then slams him into the ground. And that's that for Sayrid.
Just like that.
Yeah. He then questions Bill about the 3 methods of escape, which he mentioned at the end of the last volume. He said he had 3 plans in mind. And asks if Sayrid is needed for any of the methods. He says that Curtin, who was just killed, he was one of the people that Sayrid killed, was the only one they needed, as he had an ability that would allow him to transform into a ship or a car capable of carrying up to 5 passengers. That's a very funny thing to imagine, him just turning into a car or a boat.
I'm so curious how that even works, how that looks even.
Remember the Zoldyck grandma that could turn into a bike?
Oh my god.
And the chairman
electron. Now I do. yeah, now I remember.
I think it would be like that, I guess.
Oh my gosh. Okay, sure.
Very interesting. So Kurapika then asks Sayrid what his Nen ability is, to which he just replies with the same nonsense he's been saying before about what was it even? I forgot to write it down, but it was
he asked if
it
I
told
had a
me so or
something.
something.
Or I was free, or something like that.
Yeah,
it was gibberish.
Something like that. Yeah, it didn't matter. Kurapika looks to Bill for an explanation. He is hesitant at first, but when Kurapika questions his dedication to the mission to protect Prince Wobble, he gives in. He says that Sayrid is an emitter, but his ability is more like a manipulator's. He sends out a Nen ball to capture an insect and control it. So it's like Pokemon.
Yeah, it's really simple. Really simple.
Yep. Kurapika says that it could be useful, and he readies the chain on his index finger for the first time on screen. What a moment. We finally get to see it.
Fine. the one finger we didn't know what the hell was going on with that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Yeah.
And it's really cool. So we then flash back all the way to when Kurapika was learning Nen from Izunavi, which is really cool to see more from that era. It's pretty unexplored. It's cool to see more. Mm-hmm. Who tells Kurapika to keep one finger empty for now. He worries about Kurapika fighting by himself and stresses the importance of working with others and doing combination attacks. Kurapika remains resolved to fight alone, and Izunavi finally recommends that when he finds himself struggling, he should add an ability that will compensate for the lack of help. He dissects Kurapika's personality and again stresses that he will need allies to take on A-class bounties, which Kurapika obviously plans to do, given his mission. Kurapika interprets his use of allies to mean sacrificial pawns, and Izunavi assures him that he will realize the truth when he's fighting side by side with somebody else. Back in the present, Kurapika admits that Izunavi was right and that things didn't proceed so simply. But as he reflects on memories of his time with Gon, Killua, and Leorio, he also even thinks about Wobble there for a minute.
Yeah.
Which is cool. He still says that is all the more reason to have power to fight by himself. So he doesn't want his friends to be involved. He's selfless and selfish at the same time. It's a very interesting thing about Kurapika.
It
He
feels.
just wants to. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it feels very layered, like in a way. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a very complicated nature, his personality in general, and this kind of just further showcases that.
Yeah, he just wants to take on like everything. Wants to take on all the burdens himself and just let his friends live a normal life, I think is what he wants here.
Which obviously, as the readers, we don't necessarily want that for him, but you know,
No.
he kind of does what he feels he needs to do. But this whole like panel showcasing this in general was really cool, really sweet. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it.
Yeah, I like Killua putting like a pie in Gon's face in one of those panels.
Yeah, when did that happen?
I don't know. At some point, I guess. So we then get the reveal of his index finger's ability, which is called Steel Chain. Well, I guess steel chain, not like steel as in the materials, like steel as in I'm taking.
There was obviously a pun intended.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He explains to Bill that this ability extracts aura from people and can be used to temporarily take other people's abilities. He also hopes that doing this will force the parasite to leave his body as it will no longer have a food source. Then a small creature emerges from Seirid's ear and tries to run away, but Kurapika readies the chain on his index finger and activates Emperor Time, summoning Stealth Dolphin and loading Seirid's ability. And Stealth Dolphin is the thing that comes out of this chain. It's like it's literally just a dolphin. It talks even.
It's pretty cool.
It is cool. Yeah. Loading Seirid's ability. As the creature makes its way towards an air vent, Stealth Dolphin analyzes the ability and says it's called a Little Eye, confirming Bill's description, but adding that it doesn't work on Nen-conjured creatures, which means that Kurapika cannot use it to take over an enemy's ability. The creature then escapes into an air vent.
So I just want to say, this is probably the coolest ability that Kurapika has now out of all of his chains, at least to me. It's so interesting. And a big part of that for me is how it kind of, in a way, mirrors how like Crollo was also able to like steal
exactly. And I wonder if he got the idea from Crollo.
Whether it was intentional or not, though, I kind of love how that further highlights the dynamic that those two have as kind of I guess rivals is the word you would use, but like they're kind of like enemies, bitter lifelong enemies. Yeah, even if they don't really. I don't know. It's that's a nice little detail that I'm 90% sure is intentional to some degree.
100% intentional.
Yeah.
So Seirid comes to his senses and they question him on what happened, and he just confirms what they already knew or what they already thought, but elaborates further by saying that the creature kept asking him when he'd be free, and when he finally said that he was is when he lost control of his body. The royal army then comes in and collects the bodies, as well as taking Seirid in for questioning. Seirid tells Kurapika he can keep his ability, however, Kurapika tells him that it will automatically return to him after he uses it a single time. So it's a one-use thing. Seirid tells him more about the ability, saying that he can only control creatures no bigger than a hamster, and that he gets any information they see and hear. He tells Kurapika to be careful and to use the ability well, hoping he catches the culprit. Then, two servants approach Kurapika and say that they can't take it anymore, asking permission to quit. So the team just keeps shrinking. And so, only 2 hours after the Black Whale departed, Wobble and Oito are left with just 2 guards and 2 servants.
That's screwed up.
Man, they got screwed.
Yeah, it's bad now. 2 hours after departure. That's it. That's crazy.
Kurapika asks Bill about the 2 other ways to escape without Curtin's ability, and he says that one needs Periston's help and will be difficult, and the other needs Beyond's help and will be even more difficult.
Not a lot of options they have at their disposal right
now.
No.
But the fact that he does have plans to get out is really interesting to me.
Yeah, multiple of various difficulties, which we can only assume that by the end it'll be like the most impossible looking task will be the option they go for.
I'm sure it'll be the Beyond one, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Periston must be on the boat. We have yet to see Jing or Periston in this arc, but I think they got to be on the boat, right? Yeah, because they're part of the expedition team.
Yeah, so. They have to be. They're somewhere. We just haven't seen them visibly
haven't seen them.
But But yeah, it's interesting now. Kurapika also has the dilemma of, the ability. He has one time to use it, and we'll get further into that.
Yes,
soon,
this is a very big issue throughout this whole volume.
Yeah.
So we then cut to Prince Momose's quarters, where one of the queens assures the guards that only 6 of them need to be with Momose, since Mariam needs more protection to feel safe, because that queen is Momose and Mariam's mother. So she's definitely putting more focus on Mariam here. Hanzo sees this and feels sorry that Momose can hear all of this. Momose doesn't really seem bothered by it, though, to be honest. Mm-hmm. The queen asks Momose if she can take care of herself and not to worry about her. Momose feels sorry for her mother and brother, saying that those not fit to be king are overwhelmed by fear. She sits knitting in a chair and asks her Nen Beast, and her Nen Beast is seen sitting behind her. Jesus, I messed that whole thing up. The Nen Beast is behind her, which appears to be the same creature that initially talked to Seyrid. She wonders to herself why she feels so tired today. So,
well, yeah. Well, I wonder why.
Yeah. We then briefly cut back to the dinner party where Prince Hulkenberg approaches his father for a private conversation in which he says he wishes to withdraw from the succession battle. He says he does not desire a bloody throne. As he says this, a Nen Beast appears behind him and rests on his shoulders. The king laughs and says, "As you wish."
And first Prince to kind of want to show they don't want any part of this, like, very directly to the king, which is interesting going forward.
Yeah, for sure. Back with the Wobble gang, Bill elaborates on parasitic Nen by just saying basically that what we already knew about it, how the host's personality and emotions influence the parasite. So it's really boiling. The whole succession battle is fueled by these parasitic Nen, by parasitic Nen. Yeah. Oito then mentions that there are a few princes who don't desire confrontation. However, the 5 oldest are all in on this. Kurapika realizes that the real battle will begin once all the princes return from the ceremony. So yeah, that was interesting. So not all of the princes had done the urn ceremony at this point.
That's a very interesting revelation there. Because you would have thought that everyone would have already partaken in that. But evidently
not. But they all, I guess a lot of them just did it just now or are about to do it, because Hulkenberg, I guess, just awakened his right then and there. So,
which is interesting because did he even partake with the urn then in that case?
He must have, yeah. I'm not sure if they mentioned it directly and I just didn't write it down, or it just kind of is implied. But
gotcha. Yeah, because that's an interesting detail for me then, considering he's the one to withdraw from the succession battle all of a sudden.
Yeah, it is interesting. I wonder how he got roped into doing it.
Yeah.
So back at the dinner party, Prince Tubepa is offering a partnership with Serednich. She says that Tyson, Luzerus, and Saleh Saleh have no ambition. She figures that Hulkenberg won't participate, and that those younger than Cacho are too young to have any power or connections. She boils it all down by saying that she views this as more of a contest of survival among the top 5 princes. She believes that the eldest 3 are the most repulsive and that they need to be purged. Serednich agrees with her on that, and Tubepa says that they will meet again next Sunday. Serednich says to himself, "If you are still alive."
Very in character.
Yes. We then get a quick look at both of their Nen Beasts, and the king has an inner monologue about Nen Beast that I'm going to read in full because I can't really summarize it any better than he already does there.
Fair enough.
And by the way, their 2 Nen Beasts are Tubepa's is like a weird lizard car.
It's like it's a frog tank
car
looking thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now Serednich,
we will see a lot more of. It is horrifying.
It looks like something out of like a Junji Ito work. Like it's ridiculous.
Yes. We will see a lot more of that one. That is quite a design. So, the king goes into more of the history of Kakin here, which is all very interesting stuff. So I definitely wanted to make sure I read all this just word for word because it's pretty cool stuff. So he says, guardian spirit beasts created from the same vessel are governed by instinctual rules. 1. Spirit beasts do not kill each other. 2. They do not directly attack people who have spirit beasts. So that's 2 rules we didn't know about. That is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
These instincts are necessary for restraining Nen beasts, protecting the future king. Beasts with only fangs and claws will go extinct before long. Same goes for humans. Indirect actions are crucial in political and military plots. Leaders who cannot see the long path to victory are mediocre. In the age of rival warlords, our small country could have been absorbed into its neighbors at any time. Then my ancestor, its ruler, created the seed urn. Now a superpower, he built its foundation by making his children fight for unification. Nen beasts skilled in logistical support and who are attached to a king with a talent for long-term vision and deep design work wonders for the Huigyoro royal family. I don't have to say that name too often, so that's
understandable.
This arc is full of 200,000 sacrifices. Have your way with them and carve out your own future. So he is viewing this whole ship as a playground, basically, for this battle to take place.
Yeah.
Does not care about a single person on this thing except his children. And probably the expedition team.
Yeah, as you put it, they're all sacrifices. They're all sacrificial pawns for the sake of of the royal family, essentially, which is very, very screwed up, as we all know. But yeah, I don't know. It's wild still.
And then we see a couple more. We see Zhang Lei's Nen Beast, as well as Camilla and Benjamin's, which they all look pretty damn cool.
Benjamin's especially is kind of terrifying as well.
Benjamin's is really sick. And interesting about Zhang Lei is because it barely even looks alive. It looks just like kind of like a emblem or something. It's just
honestly, it reminds me of like something you'd see out of Persona or like Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Interesting.
Yep. And he continues that last sentence by saying, "Until you are down to a single blessed child." So, yep. That's a succession contest for you. So yeah, we got a little bit more about the Kaige Empire there, and it's so interesting how this country operates and how it operated this whole time up until now. It's just always been this exact same thing every time to find one king. Like, I guess these kings just pump out kids and then just have them all kill each other at the end. It's such a crazy concept.
Yeah, evidently, considering how many like queens there are and just the amount of princes involved in this in general, 14, right? So
14.
Assuming that this is like a regular amount of like participants in these succession battles, then yeah, it's wild how they've operated on this for all these years.
Just no care for family whatsoever. It's just it's for the empire. Everything they do is just for the country itself.
That's what the royal family blood is built for, almost, is just to rule the empire with not necessarily an iron fist, but just to rule it well, I guess. Yeah.
Find the best candidate, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So elsewhere, 2 of Serenich's bodyguards named Theta and Salkov discuss how the princes will soon be made aware of Nen Beast through the emergency channel, and they ponder the possibility of Serenich becoming interested in Nen and the dangers of him actually learning it. Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as I read that, he should not go anywhere near that.
No. Well, and so this all stemmed from Kurapika earlier making the emergency call about seeing the Nen Beast. So,
which may be a bad idea in hindsight now.
Yeah. Salkov eventually works out a plan to where Theta will agree to teach him Nen, but she will do it in the most inefficient way possible by basically making him learn a totally useless ability. She fears for the evil deeds he could do if he was given access to a proper Nen ability and wonders if she is really the only one capable of this. Then Salkov stops in his tracks and tells Theta not to look at it. Meanwhile, Prince Luzurus is made... I love his name so much.
Yeah, Luzurus.
I just crack a smile every time I hear it. Prince Luzurus is made aware of Nen Beasts and Nen, but is not interested in learning how to use it, as his guards tell him it would take a long time to learn. So he's one of those ones that's very uninvested in this whole thing.
Yeah, he doesn't really give a shit to be perfectly blunt about it. He's
really chill. Yeah. I like him a lot. So Prince Tyson is also made aware thanks to Izunavi, she asks him what her Nen beast looks like, to which he responds by saying that they look like fairies, but he wonders to himself what the thing is behind her that is giving birth to the fairies.
If those are fairies, I don't like. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see what he's seeing in those things. That does not look like fairies to me.
Yeah, I feel like Izanabe's just trying to say what she wants to hear in that moment.
Yeah, they look more like, I don't know, flies, disgusting insects.
Yeah. She is kind of terrifying, to be honest.
Yeah, like in the most low key of ways, but yeah, like definitely one of the more unsettling princes in this entire thing. And it's not even like, not in the way that like Sarinich is, where like he kind of is just menacing all around. She's just like unhinged. Is that the best way to put it?
Yeah, pretty unhinged.
Yeah.
But also calm. She's just scary in her like unpredictableness. Like she just, you don't know what's gonna come out of her mouth. Well, probably something about like love or fairies, but
something like that. Yeah.
So Tyson then says that her fairies will fill this ship with love.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be with love. All right. Yeah.
Then we see Prince Saleh partying and not really giving a shit about anything.
Saleh is the one who's probably giving me the most like grins and like laughs like whenever he shows up.
He does not care.
No. Like we talked about how like Loserus is kind of just like vibing and like not really caring about it. Saleh's just living his best life. Like,
he is. Yeah. While his Nen beast floats above him, appearing to spew something out of its many mouths. That's a weird one. It's pretty much just a ball that just has a bunch of mouths and they're constantly shooting out like gas.
Yeah, that's a little unsettling too, but you know, I don't really have much to say on it yet.
We then briefly see Prince Hulkenberg, who just tried to drop out, standing in front of his entire guard team lying on the floor as he panics and wonders what is going on. Finally, we cut back to Theta, who is trying her best to ignore Sarinich's horrific Nen beast as it stares her down face to face.
Neck outstretched like from a million miles away.
Oh my god, that neck. It's so creepy. It's just drooling.
To me, objectively, one of the creepiest things that Hunter x Hunter has spewed out yet. Like, that thing is ridiculously terrifying to me.
I love that moment. It's terrifying, and she's like barely keeping it together. That thing is imagine that thing right in front of you, and you cannot acknowledge it, or else it jeopardizes everything. Yeah,
staring at you with that face, drooling out of its mouth, growling at you. Dude, No, thank you.
And that's not even the end. So the beast then opens its mouth to reveal a human-looking head inside of it with tendrils in the eyeballs. Or no. The tendrils are coming out of its mouth, right?
Yes.
And at the end of the tendrils are eyeballs. Okay.
Junji Ito, at your service. Like,
very Junji Ito-esque.
It's terrifying. It's so unsettling. I love it.
I know, it's amazing. It's such a great design. Theta admits that her previous thinking was naive, and that this is a man who should never, ever acquire Nen.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yes. Sarinich finally pops the question on her about Nen, and she tells him that she can use it. She finally admits to herself that she has to do this, and she truly is the only one capable who can do anything about this. We then see Prince Zhonglei, who is informed that Prince Wobel's guard team is down to just 2 hunters who were hired from the outside. He's then informed of Nen beasts, and his guard team tells him that none of them were aware of them. Whether or not that's true or not, we don't know, but a lot of them seem to be hiding this information, so it's likely that at least one of them knew before, but who knows. He wonders if they could be the key behind what happened with Wobel's team. Then we get a detailed look at the prince's living quarters, which is interesting. It's just Togashi details at its finest. Like, we have a whole floor plan, like a literal real life floor plan of each of the rooms, which is so cool. I love that we get stuff like this.
Yeah, and it's not really information you would necessarily need to know going into the chapters, But with one of the upcoming chapters, the layout of like what's within one of the rooms could be useful to have on hand for like just kind of like knowing what's happening. But also the other piece of information that I feel is maybe you couldn't pick up on it inherently through reading is that like all of the prince's rooms are pretty much like right next to one another. Like I didn't realize they weren't so spread out. They were all just kind of stacked with one another.
They're all right there. They're just strictly not allowed to leave. So yeah. So back at the dinner party, we get our first introduction to Prince Camilla, who is constantly referring to herself in the third person and calling herself by the nickname Cammy. She asks her father to make sure that the condition for dropping out is biological death, as she views the current rules as too ambiguous. He tells her that the sole survivor will be the official successor to the throne, and that how you interpret that is part of the contest. Interpret like that rule set as part of the contest. He also mentions that Zhang Lei asked him the same thing earlier, and he says he gave him the same response. Benjamin approaches and tells Camilla that if you believe you will be king, there's no need to bother with how others define things. Camilla snaps back by saying that she wants everyone to obey her and how she wants all her siblings to volunteer to kill themselves since she's going to be king. So the two of them continue to bicker and the king breaks up the argument. Camilla walks away thinking of how it's just not fair that wanting something doesn't make it come true. Sure. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, you go, girl.
Benjamin gets insanely mad or maybe motivated, perhaps.
Both.
And walks off. Both? Maybe both. Rips off his shirt while he's walking.
He's always the most like entertaining part about chapters whenever like these panels are drawn with him.
He gets so mad.
That's kind of a common talking point whenever anybody is talking about Benjamin as well. It's just how like insanely like what's the word I'm looking for here?
Aggressive,
impulsive?
Maybe. Impulsive. That's a good one. Yeah.
He's
definitely. But he's, as we'll see later, he's also very level-headed. Honestly, I think what we're seeing here is him like. This is like a controlled way of him getting out his frustrations, and then he kind of comes back down to earth after he gets it all out.
Yeah.
That's how I interpret it.
He's an interesting character, and the fact that he's able to stay so calm and collected, as we'll see later on, while having these intense level of emotions, that makes him very scary. So
yeah. He's so interesting. So he meets up with his guards and asks them to tell Balls, who that's what Dylan called him last week, and I'm going to roll with it because I still don't really know how to say his name, so Balls. He asked Balls to bring Serednich to him alive so he can kill him himself. Balls informs him of Parasitic Nenbeast, and Benjamin is taken back at first, asking why he can't see them even though he is a Nen user. So that's a cool reveal there. We kind of figured, just based on the feats we've seen before, he literally like wrestled with a tiger or a lion or something?
Yeah. He obviously had some kind of power, like even back then.
Yeah.
But that's it. That leads into more interesting questions now because you don't necessarily see them if you are an end user, but we see like Karapika could like easily see them from the beginning, you know? So what's the difference between an end user who can and can't see it now? That's what I'm thinking about now.
Yes. Balls surmises that it must be a limitation of the ceremony, or that a condition has to be met before they can be seen. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
He adds that since the Nenbeast didn't make an attempt to kill Wobble directly, there have to be rules in place for the Nenbeasts that they don't know about, which we do know. They can't hurt each other. So that is good to know, and or other princes, right? That's another rule.
Yeah, they can't hurt. They can't attack other princes, and they can't attack other Nenbeasts, I believe.
Right.
So yes, and so that information is only known to the king, as far as we know, and us, the readers, right? So
exactly. Yep.
Everybody else,
as far as we know,
everybody else kind of has to figure those rules out naturally. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens, if at all.
Yes. So he's stressing about the need to acquire information before the others do. Benjamin inquires as to why a hunter would leak the existence of nen beasts if they already learned about the ceremony from Oito. But Balls reasons that their purpose is to force a stalemate among the various camps, since the hunter's true goal involves the Dark Continent. Both agree that the low-ranking princes will use this to their advantage to drag the contest out, and Balls points out just how dangerous the nen beasts and hunters' abilities could be, worrying that the other princes will want to learn nen now.
Wasn't entirely wrong.
No, definitely not. Benjamin asks him to summon all of his soldiers, and Balls follows his order, thinking to himself that while the prince can be impulsive at times, hey, there you go, there's that word.
Yeah, pick the right word.
If he's presented with the necessary information, he can still be very reasonable, and he believes that he is the only one capable of being king. And honestly, I can see that. He has a very kingly mindset.
It's a valid point, honestly. He's not wrong. Like that is definitely like leadership-esque like qualities that you would think about as like a king, you know?
Absolutely. So. You can definitely see why he aligned himself with Benjamin.
For sure.
So Benjamin summons his soldiers and tells them that they will guard each prince as royal guards in alternating shifts and report any observations back to him. So this is an advantage that Benjamin specifically has. It's kind of an unfair one.
It's very unfair.
Yeah. But he does it. So he says that they are authorized to use lethal force to eliminate the enemy in the name of self-defense if necessary.
Which, that'll be a reoccurring theme about how you interpret self-defense.
Self-defense.
Lots of people will use that to their advantage very soon.
He's got some real nut jobs on his guard team.
To say the least, yeah.
One of Benjamin's soldiers arrives at Zhang Lei's quarters, and the princes realize his brother's plan, saying that because royal guards have to be official soldiers from the royal army to qualify, only Benjamin's guards will meet the requirements since he is the deputy military advisor. So unfair. Like, that is such a huge advantage in this. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's the only prince. No other prince has this advantage, and this isn't like a, how do I put this? Like, he just has pure numbers advantage, and like it can easily win any information war with that. It's crazy. Yeah. It
is crazy, yeah. So Zhang Lei realizes that this is happening because of the emergency call and that it's his chance to learn more about nen beasts. One of Serednich's guards informs him of the situation and asks what he'd like him to do. Because he is the eldest son of the first queen, because he is the son of the first queen, he is not obligated to comply. Serednich says to Benjamin, "You idiot," as he is too busy focusing on learning nen. That's the only response he gets.
You idiot.
Very says to tell Benjamin, "You idiot." Yep. Sure. Meanwhile, Tubepa assumes that the person who made the emergency call desires an impasse, and she asks one of her guards for information on the hunter. So she is gathering information on what we know as Karapika. Yep. Interesting. Back in Woble's quarters, a man named Vincent rings the bell and asks them and tells them that he is here on Benjamin's orders. Karapika wonders if this could be another spy. Shortly after, Bill spots Vincent in the room with them, holding one of the maids with a knife in her chest. He speaks in an odd way, ending a lot of sentences with "yes, sir."
Yes, sir.
He is interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of weirdos on his guard team. He says that she came at him with a knife, and he had no choice, claiming it was an act of self-defense.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. He also reveals a vial of poison that she was carrying and guesses that she was planning to use it on someone. Sure, man.
All right, yeah.
He reiterates his use of self-defense, and Karapika realizes that he's not a spy, but an assassin.
That was plain as day, yeah.
Yes.
It's so funny how, like, immediately you just know, like, yeah, he's lying through his teeth. Like,
yeah.
Not even trying to make it, like, not obvious.
He's playing dirty.
Yeah.
Karapika starts to charge at him, but he stops in his tracks because he's worried about the legal ramifications that would follow. And that's a very common thing with these guards. It is so tricky to deal with them in these situations because of what they are.
especially Benjamin's guards.
Yeah, it's oh my god, it's so tough. Benjamin just has a vice grip on everybody right now with this play.
Yeah.
So Vincent identifies Kurapika as the one who made the emergency call, and Kurapika confirms this. Vincent offers to cooperate, but Kurapika doesn't seem too fond of that idea. He vows that his mission is to protect Oito and Wobble. He turns to them and asks if Oito trusts him, to which she says she does. That is a lot of S sounds in that sentence. No matter what happens. Using his index finger, he transfers the Nen ability Little Eye to Oito. Stealth Dolphin relays all of this information directly to her through a mind link. So nobody else can hear that. Nobody else can even see Stealth Dolphin to begin with, except Kurapika and Oito at this point. So
Right.
Vincent misinterprets this as Kurapika attacking Oito and wonders if that means he will work with him. That's so funny to me.
I think you might have skipped a few intentions there, but yeah, okay.
This guy's not very smart.
No.
While he is distracted, Bill tries to go in for an attack, but he notices and shoots him. Bill blocks the bullets with Nen, and Vincent tries to use his own Nen to attack, only to find that he cannot currently use Nen. This is because Kurapika just cleared the ability he had with Stealth Dolphin, opening the slot and allowing him to steal Vincent's ability. This allows Bill to get in close and disarm him and place him under arrest for the attempted assassination of Prince Wobble. He denies these claims, but Oito says that she will testify. Kurapika says it won't even be necessary because with his ability, he will make him reveal everything on the witness stand. However, Vincent then swallows a poison he had hidden behind his back teeth. Kurapika then... It's like a cyanide pill, basically.
Yeah.
Kurapika decides not to report Vincent immediately as it would be ineffective and risky at the moment. They move the body somewhere and notice a bug planted, so they crush it. We then cut to Balls and Benjamin, who were listening in on the whole event with said bug that they just crushed, until they crushed the bug. They struggle to understand what happened until Balls theorizes that the guards lied verbally. Oh, they're talking about Kurapika.
Yes.
That the guards lied verbally to mislead any eavesdroppers. But perhaps not every part of it was a lie. Benjamin thinks this is all very interesting and orders a guard named Bobby Mina to be Vincent's successor. That is unfortunately a name we will have to say a lot.
Yeah, Bobby Mina, whatever.
Bobby
yeah.
Mina. Okay.
Yeah, moving on.
Kurapika realizes that Little Eye would best be used on Prince Mariam's pet hamster at the next banquet. However, Kurapika seems very concerned about time, and because of this, he asks Oito to use Little Eye on an insignificant insect like a fly to avoid suspicion. Despite the advantages of giving the dolphin his newly acquired ability from Vincent, Kurapika decides not to do so because it would force him to stay in Emperor Time, which he then reveals shortens his lifespan by 1 hour for every second it's activated.
Yeah, so
Kurapika.
I want to take this time to talk about just this ability in general real quickly, before going on to the obvious elephant in the room. I find it really interesting as well. It's kind of another parallel of Kurapika versus Crollo, in that Crollo's whole thing is that he kind of steals Nen abilities from people permanently almost. Kurapika, it's very interesting how he's able to give other people Nen abilities essentially, even if only temporarily. So I find that's a really interesting parallel, and I don't know if that'll really matter, I guess, but it's cool. It's cool detail that I'm kind of noticing that is also probably intentional to some degree, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
He
can also choose not to store an ability, which is kind of interesting too. So he literally just used the ability in that case to stop Vincent from using Nen. He didn't even bother taking the ability.
No, yeah. Which is really cool. Very cool applications that he can have with that ability. That being said, what the hell are those restrictions, dude? That's ridiculous. Why would you... I get the idea is high risk, high reward, right? That's how you can have such a powerful ability, is restrictions like that due to how Nen works. But 1 hour... There had to be
another way.
Every second.
To me, it's kind of sad because What this reads as to me is just Kurapika's the fact that he has such little care for his own life.
Yeah.
That he was just like, yeah, I mean that's a fair restriction. Why not? Like
And-
he didn't even bother to think about it beyond that.
And we've kind of had that idea even since like York knew, where like, you know, his restriction with the chains is that like or at least like Judgment Chain.
Judgment Chain can only be used on the spiders.
Yeah. So like we already knew he was willing to have like
no, not Judgment Chain. Chain Jail.
Chain Jail. That's what it was. Yeah. Sorry.
Yep.
But so we've already known he'd go to literally any very tight restrictions to be able to achieve his goals, his very personal goals.
Yes.
But man, yeah, like he actually just does not care about his own life aside from getting revenge on his clan, which is commendable, but it's so sad, so tragic.
Yeah, it's really just like because he doesn't care about his life at all. This is a fair restriction, and like I feel like the only thing he's worried about in his mind is like if I have enough time to complete my goal and avenge my clan. That's all he needs the time of his own life for. As long as he does that, the rest of the time doesn't even matter.
Which will lead into, you know, consequences now of this happening. It's ironic how like we'll be talking about this very soon more in depth, but like it's such a simple ability that's loaded into Stealth Dolphin right now. But it's actually insane how much he's going to be like freaking out over the time ticking down.
I know. Oh, man.
And then there's the dilemma of like, is that, you know, selfish of him or not, which we'll get into. But
yes. So they then receive messages, 3 messages on the phone from 3 of the princes, Benjamin, Zhonglei, and Tubeiba, which presents an issue as choosing a specific prince to talk to first could imply to the others that an alliance is being formed. Yep. Additionally, if a prince hangs up while waiting on the line, it might as well be a declaration of war to that prince. Just then, Bobby Mina rings the bell. Kurapika has another mental gymnastics session here, another 2-page long ordeal, as he does.
Yeah,
we love him.
I don't blame him for this case though, because there's like 4 different like paths you have to choose.
Yes,
now.
He was sweating about this, and so eventually the decision is made for him anyway, by the maid named Shimano, who is one of the 2 that, or one now, the only one left actually, because the other one just died. Shimano connects him to Zhonglei.
I want to note as well that like he was going to make the decision to connect with Benjamin first.
Yes, that was his choice.
Yes.
I probably should have written that down. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. But
yeah. I think that's very important going into after this whole thing kind of concludes, like this specific situation.
Mm-hmm. So Zhonglei answers and asks why he chose him. To which Kurapika, he's kind of just bullshitting here because he obviously didn't choose this, but he says that he seemed to be the most reasonable. Kurapika knows that he was calling to inquire about information regarding Nen. Zhonglei cuts to the chase and says that Kurapika has permission to enter his quarters, as it will be an exchange of honor and information. Okay.
All right.
Kurapika accepts and asks if Oito and Wobble can accompany him. Zhonglei says yes and tells him to ring the bell in 15 minutes. More time limits.
More time, yep. Looking like hang up right now.
Yep. They hang up and Kurapika quickly tries to take Benjamin's call, but unfortunately he hung up already. That sucks.
Yeah, not great, but yeah.
We'll see. Maybe it's not that bad.
Yeah.
So he accepts Tubeiba's call instead, which is cool that he actually managed to answer both of them at least. One of her cards, named Mayor, is on the phone and says that they are prepared to enter a truce in exchange for information regarding the Nen beasts. Kurapika accepts, and Mayor says that they will not breach the truce. However, they may revoke it depending on how things play out. He wants Kurapika to come over now, but Kurapika explains the situation they are currently in regarding Benjamin's soldier outside their door. Wishing to avoid conflict with Benjamin, he allows Kurapika an hour to deal with this and hangs up the phone.
Right, so the whole point was that, like, Kurapika explained the guard was outside, and they're like, oh, yeah, we don't want Benjamin's wrath thrown on us. Yeah, go deal with it.
Yeah. Kurapika asks Shimano why she took the call from Zhonglei and not Benjamin, to which she says that she wants to do her best to survive. Basically, Benjamin is scary, and she wanted nothing to do with him.
Very fair. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't really fault that.
No. She says that Zhang Lei is a more humble individual, but not humble to the point where he would accept being spoken to second. Additionally, if Kurapika managed to get on his good side, he is likely to hold off killing them until later, if at all. Okay. So he seems pretty reasonable, and from what we've seen, yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah, shockingly, fairly nice guy for one of the top princes, at least on the surface, which is more than you can say for the others. So
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Although it is interesting because Camilla revealed, or I guess the king revealed earlier, that Zhang Lei also asked that same question about making the rules more clear. So that also kind of implies that maybe, well, who knows?
I think
maybe
there is a more sinister side of him, I think, that we've yet to really see, but looking at it from the perspective of the characters at play here, I think it was a very smart decision to kind of get on his good side now. I do too, yeah. Because there is no getting on Benjamin's good side. That's the thing I think she especially realized in that moment. Because they could please him for a moment, but long term, it wouldn't work out for sure.
Yeah. While she guesses that Tubepa is a more patient individual and is strictly devoted to killing the older princes while ensuring that the younger ones survive. Shimano is proving to be very rational and intelligent, so Kurapika asks her what she thinks he should do about the soldier outside the door. To avoid any sort of legal troubles associated with the royal army, she tells him to let him in. He does so and informs Bobby Mina that they are going to meet Zhang Lei. Bobby Mina decides to wait in the room with Bill while they are gone. Kurapika instructs Bill to tell Tubepa that the situation has been dealt with if she calls. The three enter Zhang Lei's chamber, where he greets them. Kurapika explains the basics of Nen and reveals that the guardian spirit beasts were assigned to the princes during the initiation. Oito can see Zhang Lei's Nen beast and is visibly shaken, but Kurapika tells her, using their mind link that they currently have, to not panic right now. So yeah, because Oito has Nen right now, she can now see everything that Kurapika can.
Right.
Which is a pretty interesting development.
Well, at this point within the chapter, all we know is that she's able to see Nen because of Stealth Dolphin, essentially. Because of Kurapika activating Emperor Time and kind of infusing her with like forced Nen almost. Exactly. Yeah.
Kurapika then asks Zhang Lei if he is willing to have the next part of the conversation in another room is what I meant to say there, considering that the information could change the tide of the succession war. Mm-hmm. Cutting away from that for a bit to check in on all the other princes. We first see that Biscuit and Hanzo are together talking about how Mariam's Nen beast is growing and that it has noticed that they can see it. It growls in response.
This thing is getting a little scary now. With Mariam. And that's not what I would have expected out of this prince.
No, definitely not. Prince Momose's guards are each planning to kill her in a way that makes it obvious that they did it to their employer, but not to the authorities. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
We then see Fugetsu sitting in her bed crying while looking at a photo of her and Kajo together. So, as we've seen before, clearly those two are very close.
Yeah.
Outside her room, Fugetsu's guards, Ryoji and Bacham?
I don't know. I give up.
That guy discuss how they are the only two legitimately protecting her while the other guards are assassins. So they aren't much better off than Oito and Wobo, really.
No, yeah, arguably worse considering it seems like they're a little less capable of being able to kind of deal with the assassins and whatnot very quickly.
They know they're there, they just don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
In Kacho's quarters, we see her throwing a tantrum about the food. Whoops. The food her maids made for her. While Melody reads the emotions of the staff around her as they think terrible thoughts about her. Melody knows that Kacho is putting on an act here, but is unsure why.
That's interesting.
Yes. We then see that Prince Hulkenberg woke up in his bed, and his entire staff is alive and well, suggesting that what he saw before was a dream. However, he now has some sort of mark on his hand. Okay.
Interesting stuff.
Saleh is being scolded by his mother for not taking this seriously. Saleh is so funny.
He's hilarious. I won't say I love him because he looks like he could probably still be like a piece of crap, but like
it's just so funny. He does not care. His mom is even getting on his ass about it.
It's very funny.
To which he responds by saying that at the next banquet, he is going to change the world.
Oh, I can't wait to see what
All
that
right,
looks like.
man. Let's see it. And then Loserus, the other sick-ass dude, is just smoking some kind of drug, which apparently was created by Basho.
They're just smoking a blunt together, essentially.
I think, is it out of a bong? I can't remember.
I can't remember what it looked like specifically, just that they were very much getting high together, and that's what it looked like.
And apparently this drug that he made makes you healthier. He tells Basho how he could distribute the drug as a therapy for addicts if he becomes king. However, he doesn't have much confidence in that happening. So, very noble goal of Loserus here.
Yeah, he's kind of a cool dude, you know? Like
He just doesn't foresee himself winning.
Yeah.
Prince Tyson is bragging about her book and says that there will be true world peace when all humanity becomes my disciples. She tells Izanabi and another guard to read it, and they will understand. They do, and the other guard says, so it's that kind of book. They don't read the whole thing right there, by the way. They just kind of open it. And
wasn't the first chapter is just like, you know, like what love truly is or something like that?
Something like that, yeah. They both comment on how remarkable it is that she is so unfazed during this crisis, and also wonders how to praise the book without actually reading it. That's funny.
Love that.
Yeah. In Tubepa's quarters, Mayor calls Woble's room again and asks if the problem has been resolved. So he heads over while Tubepa contemplates on how to get rid of Benjamin's guard. Butch is that one's name. Meanwhile, Serednich is learning then from Theta, and he is learning alarmingly fast. Theta can't believe it and admits to herself that this man is a genius. This is all in the same day.
Yeah, within a day, he is already able to conjure a small ball of aura between.
And he can move it
hands.
to his fingertip.
Easily able to control it around his hands, and the size of it's insane. Keep in mind, Gon and Killua took a month to be able to even do anything close to controlling their Nen.
Yeah. So this guy is crazy. Wow.
The Theta's observations and instincts were right in that this guy is he cannot get anywhere close to it. Obviously they're forced in a situation now where they kind of have to teach him, and it's already getting out of hand, it looks like. So
yes,
wild.
Now finally, back in Zhonglei's quarters, Kurapika cuts their conversation short right after saying, let's move to another room and talk. I guess never mind. As he has other things to take care of. Zhonglei is fine with this, and even gives them two of his own guards to make up for their shortage in staff. Cool. Oh,
so I wanted to make a point. Wasn't part of that conversation is that Zhonglei wanted to learn more about Nen and Nen Beast, obviously, but didn't Kurapika kind of hit him with the implied thing that the guards were right behind him with the first and second prince, right? Or they were.
That's right. They were sent.
Yeah. They were sent by the first and second prince, and then the Kurapika was basically implying I could tell you everything right now, but this information will be vital and actually someone.
Well, that's why they were gonna go to the other room, but
right.
Maybe he is rethinking and wants to have it somewhere else entirely. But I don't know how he'd make that happen.
Well, so I think it was. Because he's providing his own guards, not ones appointed from the other princes to go with him, right? So I guess the idea is to have them be able to relay the information to him without the two princes from the first and second knowing.
Okay, perhaps.
That's
that would make sense.
That's my perspective on it. I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong in the future. Okay. But
I see what you're getting at. Yeah, that could be right. So these two guards' names are Sakata and Hashito. One of the guards in the room named Slaka, who is a Yeah, that's one of them. A true guard. I don't know if he is a true guard. I'm not sure if they're all wiped out. I just kind of assumed he was. But he is affiliated with the second queen, Dwazel, regardless of if it's a true guard or not. I don't know for sure. He thinks to himself about how he is colluding with the first queen, Unma's soldiers, because they have mutual interests. He then gets orders from the queen to go with Sakata and Hashito, so the three of them leave together. So whether they wanted or not, they still ended up getting a unaffiliated guard.
Yeah.
Then, in Prince Camilla's quarters, she and her mother are having a meal and casually talking when suddenly the tone of the conversation shifts. Camilla reveals that she is planning on killing Benjamin first and then Hulkenberg.
That's bold.
Yeah, no kidding. She then orders her mother to get close to them so she can kill them. She says that she'll have an easier time getting close to Hulkenberg. However, Benjamin's guard, Muse, I think? Maybe Moose? I don't know. Eavesdrops on her conversation using his Nen ability Secret Window. He says that the conversation won't be definitive proof that she is planning on murdering Benjamin, so he will need to send a bird, whatever that means, to Camilla herself. We don't know anything about his ability yet, just that it exists.
Yeah.
To Camilla herself, as an owl-looking creature, native Nen appears on his shoulder. Okay. In Benjamin's quarters, we see Balls informing Benjamin that Kurapika refused the phone call but let Bobby Mina in and asked for his thoughts on this play. Benjamin seems pretty impressed with how they handled the situation, calling it a defensive offense. Balls then says how it would be beneficial to them right now if they could learn their abilities. So another one of Benjamin's guards emerges named Furikov, I think, and says that it is his turn then. So that's what he says. That's a quote.
Yeah. It's really funny to me how if Kurapika was actually able to go with the decision that he had first and taking Benjamin's call, things could have ended very differently then, because Benjamin is impressed with this. Is like the best case scenario they could have gotten, in that Benjamin's not even mad about the whole thing. He's more impressed than anything else. So out of sheer luck, they managed to get like the ideal situation out of that whole
Well, perhaps not even luck. I mean, Shimano kind of made a good play there. I don't know how well thought out it really was, but I mean, she made the right call regardless.
Yeah, either way, good call. But oh man, it makes me wonder what would have happened if Kurapika actually did answer Benjamin first. We'd be seeing some very different stuff happen, I'm sure.
That's for sure. Kurapika and the others return to Woble's quarters, and Slaka immediately begins conspiring with Bobby Mina. Kurapika starts stressing out about Emperor Time as he realizes that because of the amount of people here now, it would be dangerous to have Oito use the Nen ability. He says to her that he and Bill will make some kind of distraction if they find a target for her to use it on. He then admits to himself that he was naive, and this ability and its conditions are far more dangerous than he imagined.
Yeah? You think? Oh man, he was obviously creating this ability.
Oh my god, yeah, I know. It took him this long to admit that too. So meanwhile, on tier 5 of the ship, randomly, a random passenger is trying to talk to Krollo.
Yeah.
And remarks that he looks like he's about to kill someone. And my god, does he.
Oh yeah. This is the most unhinged Krollo has looked, I think, ever.
Yeah, he's drawn like very scratchy and like rough. Like he's just like, he's not. I think it's a very visual way of telling that he is just not composed right now. He is
mad.
Yeah. He cannot keep it together. He's so mad. This random guy suggests that now that he is aboard the ship, Krollo should just forget his worldly ties. But Krollo says that ties are to be severed, not forgotten. That's an interesting line from him.
Well, I kind of took it as I wonder what tie he's trying to sever, or like what he's thinking about severing, which I think is very obviously Hisoka.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. He wants to murder Hisoka in the coldest blood imaginable.
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He is mad. That's all we get on that for now for this volume, but we'll be back.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I can't wait to see more.
Yeah. Back with Kurapika, they are all looking for a small insect or animal to use the lie on. The search is cut short when Mayor arrives. Kurapika explains to all the new people who that is and why he is coming. He says he will divulge the nature of Nen to everyone at the same time in the guard anteroom, which I don't know what kind of room that is. Do you?
No, I don't really have anything on that.
I've never heard that term before, but that's what they call it.
So an anteroom, according to Google, is a small room leading to a main one, typically serving as a waiting room.
Okay.
So it's just the guard waiting room, essentially. Yeah.
Guard waiting room. Right on. Kurapika tells Bill to watch over Wobble and Oito, and Bill realizes that he picked the farthest room so that they can continue their search. Kurapika agrees and tells Oito to follow him. I completely skipped a line there. Bobby Mina insists that Oito and Wobble attend as well, since one of his duties is to guard the prince. Kurapika agrees and tells Oito to follow him. And Bill knows that he and Shimano will have to continue the search in the meantime. Kurapika says that they will have to move the discussion to the bedroom now, since the anteroom was where the violent deaths took place.
So he is very obviously panicking and trying to find the fastest way possible to get Emperor Time deactivated.
Yes, Bobby Mina's catching on to this. He's a pretty smart dude, as we'll continue to see. Mm-hmm. So when pressed by Bobby Mina to explain why he keeps moving rooms, Kurapika lies and says that it was to reduce the stress on Oito and make her as comfortable as possible. Thankfully, Mayor is there to agree with the assessment, so he buys into the bullshit at least, and Bobby Mina gives in. Kurapika asks Mayor if he's fine with so many attending the discussion, and he says that he just wants to hear the information about Nen. Kurapika explains to everyone how the princess acquired the guardian spirit beast and gives them all the info he has on the topic. While doing this, Oito notices a cockroach on the wall and stares at it, drawing everyone else's attention to it.
Oh boy.
Yep, and here we go. This is a whole thing. So the others are confused about why Oito and Kurapika seem so preoccupied with a bug when Oito suddenly orders them to get rid of it. Kurapika wonders how they can activate the ability in front of the others, especially Bobby Mina. So he, by the way, it's established, well, maybe this hasn't happened yet, but I'll say it anyways. Bobby Mina has really good N, so he is...
It's revealed around this time, I think. So okay. This is relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very observant with this kind of stuff. So Kurapika's kind of freaked out to do anything involving Nen around him. Mm-hmm. So he calls Bill and Shimano over from the other room. He orders Bill to catch the cockroach using his Nen, telling the others that this will showcase its capabilities. Bill is left confused, but as Kurapika explains more to the others, he realizes that Oito will use the ability, but the others will think it's from him. That was so smart, by the way. Just the way he subtly conveys that information to Bill, and Bill catches on.
Very
really good
smart
point.
Impromptu. Yeah.
Yeah. He pretends to shoot Aura at the cockroach as Oito activates Little Eye and says to herself that only she and Kurapika can see Stealth Dolphin regardless of if others have Nen or not.
Yep.
So like I said earlier, yep.
This also really helps Oito's and the guards' cases as well, in that they're kind of able to cover up Bill's actual Nen ability.
Yes.
To an even further degree now. Like others are gonna think he's a Yeah, for now. It's not gonna be permanent, I'm sure. But like for now though, they'll think he's like a manipulator and he can basically Little Eye is his ability when that is not the case at all.
Correct. Yeah, so it works doubly in their favor. Mm. The aura strikes the cockroach, and Stealth Dolphin informs Oito that she can now control the bug at will. The others look on at the motionless cockroach and wonder if they're just making things up. Oito suddenly says that she's tired and needs to sit down, and she puts a washcloth over her head, covering her eyes. Kurapika realizes that this will allow her to control the cockroach without anyone thinking that she's the one doing it. Bill asks everyone for requests on things to make the cockroach do. He does what they ask and impresses everyone. Kurapika goes into further detail about the power of Nen, asking Bobby Mina if he has anything to add. Bobby Mina says that Kurapika's explanation sounds good, but knows that the others just want to know how quickly they can learn Nen. Kurapika tells the guards that they would be able to learn the basics in 2 weeks, allowing them to not be defenseless against a potential Nen attack in the future. Slaka wonders... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the 2 weeks part, that's going to prove to be an interesting conundrum later on.
Yes, absolutely. So, Slaka wonders if Kurapika is going to coach everyone, and Kurapika says he will do so on the condition that they tell the other princes and let them decide if they want to participate in the lessons as well. Not the princes directly, obviously, but their guards.
Yeah.
Bobby Mina realizes that Kurapika is willing to do this much to force... Bobby Mina realizes that Kurapika is willing to do this much to force a stalemate, understanding that he will be difficult to deal with. He also notices that Bill released the cockroach through a vent, leading him to assume that the captured creatures can be used for reconnaissance.
So
very observant. Yeah, he is. This is a smart ass dude. As Bobby Mina becomes resolved to discover Kurapika's ability next, Kurapika senses that Bobby Mina is using N all over Woble's quarters. Okay, so here's the reveal. He believes that Bobby Mina probably knows what Bill is doing and worries that he will find out that it was Oito who was using the ability. The cockroach scurries through the vents, and Oito has it head for Mariam's quarters so she can confirm his Nen beast and see where his guards and servants are stationed. The cockroach enters Mariam's room, and Oito sees exactly what she was looking for.
This thing has gotten huge, by the way, this Nen beast. It's
very big.
Yeah, it's getting very big very quickly. I wonder just how much bigger it'll get.
Yeah, I wonder. Oito uses Little Eye to survey the rooms and the other princes and records the information with pen and paper so that Bobby Mina cannot read it with his N. Meanwhile, Kurapika is concerned about the physical consequences of using Emperor time for the extended period of time he did, even beyond shortening his lifespan. So he's also worried about just feeling fatigued, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Oito then inspects Momose's room, only to find her being suffocated by a bodyguard. So I guess those dudes decided to act on it, but we don't know which one or who they're affiliated with. So Oito then loses her cool and screams out, telling Kurapika to stop him or else Momose will be killed. Since Bobby Mina is in the room with him, he tells her to calm down and then it must have been a nightmare. Oito smacks his hand away and says that this is no time for games and she will go herself. So,
Kurapika
a lot of insight into Oito here.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
So Kurapika must be sweating by now.
Oh, yeah. Kurapika gives in and tells Bill to call and check up on Momose. Bobby Mina says that they won't connect you unless you work for a higher ranking prince and offers to act as a go-between. Alas, it was too late, and we see Momose in a body bag being carried out of her quarters. That's first blood. 13 princes remain.
R.I.P. Momose. Gone too
Hardly
soon.
knew ya. Yeah. Bill reveals that the guards were outside her room when the murder happened. Momose's mother, Savanti, is advocating for the execution of the 6 guards since she believes that they are complicit in the assassination. Sakata asks Kurapika why Momose's guardian spirit beast did not protect her during the incident. Kurapika explains that because Momose retired to her bedroom earlier than usual, she must have been drained. Because the beast draws its power from the host. It means that a significant amount of her aura was taken by the beast for some other activity. While she was weakened, the guards went in for the kill. This leads Bill to assume that the killer must have been familiar with Nen, which is certainly cause for concern.
This also raises a question to me, because I don't know if this was revealed already or not, but I wonder what happens to the Nen beasts after the host dies. Do they linger for a little bit? Do they just immediately disappear because they can't feed off the aura anymore? That's something that kind of came to mind whenever I was reading these explanations.
So I don't think they outright said it, but we can assume, actually because of earlier in this volume when Kurapika drained, what was his name at the beginning? Sayrid's Nen?
Sayrid, yeah.
the Nen beast that was infesting him at that time disappeared.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense. So
we can assume that without like a food source, they will probably just die off. They might linger for a bit though. Who knows? That remains to be seen.
Gotcha.
Bobby Mina asks Oito why she took such an irrational approach to reveal Momose's situation. Oito laughs and says that even though this is a survival contest, she still has the humanity to care about her stepdaughter. Oito begins to cry while saying this, and Bobby Mina leaves the room and retracts his N, realizing that his presence will not help ease the queen's woes. So, getting a little bit more into Oito and Bobby Mina here. Bobby Mina might be a little more compassionate than he's letting on, but who knows? Maybe not.
It could be strategic as well. Yeah.
Could be.
Trying to get closer. We'll see.
And definitely learning a lot more about Oito here. She is very compassionate. I mean, we knew that already, but like, she cares about everyone here, not just Wobble.
Yeah.
Oito goes back to surveying with little eye, to which Kurapika says not to push herself so hard, but she retaliates with a cold look in her eyes and says that she is doing this for Wobble, not him. So she's a little upset at Kurapika right now.
Yeah.
Bill returns from a phone call and tells Kurapika that 10 princes are sending their guards to learn about Nen. The only ones that aren't sending any are the 2nd and 6th princes. Bill mentions... Yeah, very interesting, actually. Bill mentions that there are 2 problems here. One being the fact that several princes want to send multiple guards. And he is about to go over the second problem when Kurapika suddenly faints due to the extended usage of Emperor time, much to Bill's shock. And he really does just drop.
He drops dead almost, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so then we cut to Hanzo. I should not be saying it with that tone of voice because he is very sad, actually.
Not a happy cutaway.
No, not at all. He's looking very depressed about the loss of Momose, who he was guarding, saying that if he had been there, he could have stopped it. Biscuit tells him that it wasn't his fault and he was just following orders. However, Hanzo dismisses this and remains focused by saying that the killer will strike again. He deduces that the culprit used some kind of cloning ability to commit the murder, and arresting the 6 guards will help vindicate them should another murder happen. True. Hanzo says that he will stop him, this time with a determined look in his eyes. Biscuit wonders how he will do it, which he says that the killer isn't the only one who can use doubles, as being a ninja is part of his job. So we're getting a little look at what Hanzo's Nen ability could be.
Yeah, we don't know that still, right?
No, last time we saw him, he didn't even have Nen. So
I assumed it would be something like ninja related, but
yeah,
we'll see, I guess.
Yes. However, he notes that a controllable, non-automated double would require the user to set a lot of conditions. Hanzo goes on to say that the murderer likely had to focus all of their attention on the clone, and Biscuit continues that logic by saying it had to be an off-duty guard. Hanzo, seeming more determined than ever, swears to make them pay. Biscuit tells him he should take a break.
So he's effectively out of a job now in terms of protecting a prince, but he still wants to get revenge for that prince.
He's motivated, yeah. He wants to stick around. Not that he could leave anyways. I mean, they're on a boat. But right,
but it has interesting implications in that this killer is potentially going to be targeting other princes as well. So this will have a domino effect of some sort. Hanzo getting more involved with this specifically.
Meanwhile, in Serenich's quarters, Theta notes that he has gotten the hang of Gyo in only half a day.
What the hell, dude? That's screwed up, man.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Serenich asks Theta about the amount of time required to learn Nen, referencing a message he heard from Zhonglei stating that Wobble's guard says that Nen can be taught in 2 weeks. So Kurapika once again unintentionally screwing over other people. It's the second time now that he's made the situation with Serenich specifically worse.
Yeah, which is probably going to end up biting Kurapika in the ass later on whenever he inevitably turns to the Scarlet Eyes dilemma. But, oh my god, imagine being in Theta's shoes hearing that. I'd be shitting myself.
I feel so bad for Theta during all of this, dude. Yeah. Oh my god. The amount of stress that she's probably going through. She's probably not even sleeping at all. No. How could you?
She got screwed over hard with this incident.
Yeah. So, where was I? He threatens her to tell her the truth about the time needed to learn Nen. Theta responds that while it is possible, it is hazardous, and promises that her method is the correct and fastest way. She's just talking out of her ass, obviously, but I mean...
This is, like, the most she can do, though.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
I
this
know.
is probably the best she could have gone about answering that.
Serednich isn't convinced and says that the thing he hates most is a lying wench, and asks if he can really trust her. Serednich's guardian beast, spirit beast, then gets extremely close to Theta as she promises that she is telling the truth.
God, still not looking it in the eye.
No.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, man. He has such a cold look in his eyes. Serednich is terrifying, truly.
He's a lunatic.
Yes. All right, give it up for day 2, everyone.
Woo! Day 2. All
Day
that
2.
happened in one day.
Yes.
That's
So here
ridiculous.
Day 2, 18 hours since the voyage has started. Kurapika regains consciousness, and Bill is relieved, saying that he was worried about the risk of calling a doctor. He could have, maybe. But whatever. Sure. I guess it is risky. You never know who could be affiliated with anybody.
That's true. Yeah.
Could have specifically requested Leorio, though. But he didn't know that.
Well, maybe Lorio would have been busy anyways.
Yeah.
'Cause it was kind of shown they were all out and about, like within that doctor's office or whatever.
They seemed very busy last time we saw them.
Yeah.
Kurapika is in a panic. Like, he is sweating hard.
Mm.
He is very freaked out, asking how long it's been, to which Bill tells him it's been 9 hours. Imagine hearing that, dude. Oh my god.
That's how long Emperor Time has been activated for, at least, right? So.
Yep.
Oh no,
dude.
1 hour for every second, right? Oh
yeah, you want to do that math?
Yeah. How many seconds in 9 hours? That'd be 32,400 seconds.
So what is that in a better time, like hours or years, whatever it is? Days.
32,400 hours to years is about little over 3.5 years.
3.5 years gone just from taking a nap.
That's, oh man,
dude. Oh my god.
I feel so bad for him.
Yeah. Kurapika is obviously shocked and is also worried about the queen, but Bill informs him that she blacked out around the same time he did. He looks over to Oito and, to his surprise, sees that Stealth Dolphin is active, which means that Emperor Time has been on. Oh wow!
12 hours. I didn't even realize. Oh wait. Okay.
My god.
Let me do the math again. That's 43,200 seconds, which is equivalent to. It just gives me a calendar year instead. What the heck?
What?
Yeah, hold on.
What the hell?
Hang on.
Okay.
Short intermission. Do that. Okay, it's giving me weird stuff. It's probably about 4 years though. That's safe to say. I think.
Yeah,
so.
Sounds about right.
Dude, I can't believe it. No way.
So bad. Obviously, this shakes Kurapika. He wonders to himself if Emperor Time's limit is 3 hours, and if he blacks out, that's the whole thing. So he thinks that the time limit must be 3 hours, and that if he blacks out, he will be out for 3 times as long once he exceeds that 3-hour limit. He also considers the possibility that the time limit depends on the ability taken, and surmises that a rapid heartbeat is the warning sign before the blackout. That's something I forgot to mention. Like, this whole time, these last few chapters, his heart's been beating really fast and hard. You see that in a lot of panels.
Yeah.
Oito awakens and says that she will continue looking at the other prince's quarters, but Kurapika insists on her just looking at Serednich's in case he needs to deactivate Stealth Dolphin earlier than anticipated. Oito is definitely not in the best of mood right now, and she asks if this is purely for his convenience. To which Karapika explains that it has strategic value, saying that Benjamin would have to be the last since his soldiers are most likely Nen users, and that Camilla's guards probably know Nen as well since she didn't respond to the training offer. Karapika finishes his defense by saying that they already have a connection to Zhonglei, and so Serednich should be their priority since they know nothing about his camp. Well said, Karapika.
Yeah, no,
I'm not sure what your intentions were at the start, but you definitely turned it around in your favor regardless.
Yeah, it's hard to say whether he was just like spinning the narrative or not. Or if he was telling the truth. Maybe both, but...
Could be both. Oito definitely seems less trusting than she did before, so Karapika drops down on one knee and assures her that they are there to protect her and Wobble, asking her to trust him. Shimano suddenly directs Oito's attention to Wobble, who is seen reaching out to Karapika and trying to speak.
Oh,
Karapika touches... Oh, go ahead.
I wanted to know that I found it kind of... I don't think this was intentional because it'd be kind of weird, but like Wobble was kind of like speaking out like Dada as he was looking at Karapika. So that was that was interesting. I think that was just baby talk, but like,
yeah, he's just kind of babbling, but yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So Karapika touches her hand and asks her what she thinks, and Wobble seems happy as Oito looks on with a slightly better expression on her face. Oito sends the cockroach through the air vents to Serednich's quarters, making sure not to get lost and not wanting to increase the burden on Karapika. But as the roach turns a corner, the faces of Serednich's guardian spirit beasts suddenly appear and open their mouths, causing Oito to scream out in terror. The others immediately rush to her room, but Karapika says that it was a nightmare, telling them to return to their stations. Once alone again, Oito explains that she saw a woman's face appear out of nowhere and guesses that the bug was eaten. Stealth Dolphin announces that Little Eye was forcibly deactivated, and Oito tells this to Karapika, who then tells her to order Stealth Dolphin to deactivate. So finally, he can turn off Emperor Time.
Yeah, after sacrificing so much of his lifespan for that.
Yes.
For nothing. Like that.
Yeah, ultimately nothing, yeah, and that's something he'll talk about in his head later. I don't know if I noted it, but yeah, he...
Oh, it looks like we'll be talking about that now, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Karapika realizes that the Nen Beast must have been watching from the vents to protect the prince, upset that he wasted 9 hours for nothing. But actually 12, really.
Yeah, crazy.
Pain suddenly shoots down through Karapika's whole body, and he says that he had hoped the physical toll would have lessened after the limitations he placed on it, realizing how careful he has to be in wielding such a dangerous double-edged sword. Yes. Please be more careful in the future, Karapika.
Yeah,
I'm begging you.
Do not use that willy-nilly. Please.
No. Oito approaches him and apologizes for her behavior before, but Karapika says it's no problem and thanks her for taking on such a reckless request. So their relationship is back to normal now, pretty much.
Yeah.
She then asks if he could teach her Nen so she can handle herself in these situations better. Karapika apologizes, leaving Oito confused, but he explains that his ability forcibly awakens Nen in someone without it, revealing that she can already use Nen.
Yeah, that's interesting now. So not only can he just give Nen abilities to people, but like it makes sense given that like if you are giving someone an Nen ability to use, they kind of have to awaken to Nen in order to partake in any of that. Even seeing Stealth Dolphin alone. But
right.
Yeah, interesting now. That'll be a factor going forward that she can use Nen.
She has Nen. It is now 9 a.m. on the second day, and all the guards that were sent by the various princes have now all gathered in Wobble's quarters to learn Nen from Karapika. We are introduced to a ton of new named characters here, but in the interest of time, I will only be going over the most notable details from these 2 pages. So here are the new things we learned from here. Hulkenberg's Nen Beast is apparently able to give people a mark of resolve. We don't know what that is yet, but that's what they say it is.
Yeah.
Tubepa desperately wants to recruit Karapika to her guard team. Not going to happen.
No. Pipe dream.
Serednich ordered his guards to kill them all if they aren't able to learn Nen in 2 weeks. Oh, Serednich. Very on brand.
He's a lunatic, and I'll keep saying it. Yeah.
And the one guard named Muhan seems really pumped about that idea. Zhang Lei told his guard, Tenf Tori, that Kurapika is the key going forward and to pay attention to anyone who makes contact with him. So Zhang Lei's putting a lot of stock in Kurapika.
He thinks
he's hedging his
Kurapika
bets.
is the future, of this contest.
Mm-hmm. Tenth Troy notes that he should be wary of number 1, 4, and 5. Finally, Furikov, one of Benjamin's guards, already knows how to use Nen, but he is happy that he will get to learn the enemy's type and abilities. He expresses extreme confidence in his ability to detect Nen users. He looks around and says that the hunter can obviously use it, but spots 4 others who are pretending they can't. He says to himself that if anyone were to activate an ability, he will simply express his right to self-defense, that whole thing again.
Yeah.
As Furikov prepares himself for a possible attack, a strange-looking figure is shown watching him from the back of the room. They realize his intentions from his aura alone and prepare to activate something called Silent Majority. And that's that figure in the back of the room, realizing that.
Yeah, interesting.
Very interesting here. And yeah, there's included this page. I thought about maybe going through all of their names, but man, they will be okay. I'll name everyone here real quick.
Okay.
So, oh god, this might be hard. Can I zoom in? Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. So, from Mariam's team, we have Bella Renite, I think.
Oh no.
And also Barragan, who apparently is also affiliated with Queen Savanti. From Fugetsu's guard team, that's interesting. Actually, there's servants sent instead of guards in both Kacho and Fugetsu's cases. I didn't even really pick up on that. Huh. They're both wondering why they're there. That's funny. I wonder why too. So from Fugetsu we have Illiridia and Ladolus. I wish these names were easier to say. From Kacho's team, we have Lawnberry and Yuri. That's easy, thank you. Not even Lawnberry, Lowberry. Lowberry will actually be important in a second here. From Hulkenberg's team, we have Schedule and Yuhirai.
Sounds good to me.
I'm regretting my decision to say all these names now.
I was about to say, you must be enjoying this a lot.
From Sale's team, we have Mushaho. From Loser's team, we have Satobi. From Tubepa's team, we have Mayar, who we already met, and Longhi. And from Saridnich, we have Muihan and Danjin. From Zhang Lei, we have Tenftori, and from Benjamin, we have Furikov. That's all names that will unfortunately be said frequently going forward, because they were all here with Kurapika.
Yippee!
All right, so Kurapika gathers everyone together and begins his Nen class, while the silent majority marionette stands at the back of the room making various observations. Kurapika points out a line of white tape that he has laid on the floor, telling them not to cross it at any time, saying that anyone who does may be asked to leave or even subject to lethal force without warning. The user notes that only they and Lowberry, who is one of Kacho's guards and is apparently the one possessed, can see Silent Majority's marionette.
Interesting.
Yes. Weehan purposely steps over the line. Kurapika then asks for his name and post. Danjin gets Muihan to answer, and he gives his name and says that he's the guard of the 4th prince. Kurapika drops the roll of tape and gives him one last warning, sternly telling him to step back. Muihan feigns ignorance and slowly obeys, promising that he won't do it again, and hopes that Kurapika will keep his promise to teach them Nen. The others look on anxiously, and Kurapika assures them that he will meet his promised timeline of 2 weeks. He speaks to Muihan directly and calls out his hostile nature, saying that it's a reflection of his leader.
He did not like this.
No, he did not like that. Weihan gets pissed about that and begins to move forward, but Danjin quickly stops him. Kurapika raises his gun at him and finishes his statement, which ends up being a compliment. And he tells Weihan that that's why you should wait for people to finish speaking. Danjin agrees and apologizes on Weihan's behalf, but Weihan is still not having it. Or Muhan, sorry, not Weihan. I said Weihan that entire time. It's Muhan. My bad. Muhan. The silent majority user didn't expect Muhan to lash out. They lament the fact that he wasn't one of the 10 within range. Whatever that means.
Drip feeding information about this.
Yep. They explain that if the marionette is deactivated without killing anyone, the curse will rebound on them. So they decide that they will take the risk and kill someone early, preparing their curse snakes to attack as 4 pairs of eyes are seen hiding under a chair. As Kurapika asks everyone to introduce themselves, Furikov analyzes him in great detail, saying that he held his gun in his left hand to keep his dominant hand free, which is typical for conjurers and manipulators. He notes the strong 10 around his right hand and guesses that he's a conjurer after noticing the smoothness of his overall aura. He explains that for enhancers and transmuters, the 10 around the body part they use for their attack is dimmer the more skilled they are, adding that manipulators and emitters have a greater volume of aura which becomes darker if they try to hold it back. He claims that these are the kinds of minute details that only he could notice. He also guesses that Kurapika is the one with an ability to force a confession. So this guy is insanely observant.
He's able to see Nen at such a minute detail that he can just make very clear observations off of that alone. It's crazy.
Yes, it's nuts. Meanwhile, Bill was told by Kurapika that Bobby Mina stopped using N and that he should help Oito develop an ability during this time. Bill asks her what she feels, but she only senses a tiny bit of pressure between her fingers. Bill guesses that she's about average and thinks that she will be the type to take her time, telling her aloud to continue. Furikov approaches Bobby Mina and asks him why he releases N. Bobby Mina just tells him that it's none of his business. Furikov asks for his report on the enemy's power, and Bobby Mina says that Kurapika is undoubtedly the central figure, guessing that he's a manipulator or conjurer, and that he has multiple abilities in addition to being able to force confessions. Furikov asks if he has any plans to counteract him yet, but Bobby Mina has not yet, since he still hasn't seen Wobol's Nen Beast and doesn't know Bill's ability. And neither do we, actually. We still haven't seen Bill's ability.
He was going to use it at one point, but then we never saw that, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Furikov eagerly asks him when he will have a plan ready, and Bobby Mina says after the next banquet. So in a week, I guess.
Yeah.
Silent Majority is seen behind Bobby Mina, and the user says that once someone draws everyone's attention again, they will begin their attack. Kurapika asks all 16 participants to raise their hand if they can already use Nen. Furikov and Bellarente, Prince Mariam's bodyguard, both raise their hands, and as Lowberry wonders why they're attending if they can use it already, she spots Silent Majority at the back of the room and looks very confused. The user says that this is good and that Lowberry just needs to attract everyone's attention. As Kurapika explains that the two that admitted to already knowing Nen will judge his teaching and offer any advice they have, Furikov realizes that the other 4 Nen users who are hiding the fact are planning to keep up the act. He notices Lowberry staring at something, but when he looks back, he doesn't see anything. Lowberry asks Yuri, the other bodyguard of Kracho, not a bodyguard actually, it's just a servant, who the woman is, but Yuri can't see anything either. Lowberry then yells and points at what she calls the weird woman. This is apparently exactly what Silent Majority needed, and they begin their attack. While everyone is standing around confused about what Lowberry is yelling about, one of Mariam's guards, named Berrigan, suddenly appears as though he is choking. Everyone rushes to him, and they notice that he has something white wrapped around his neck. The Silent Majority user notes that there are 4 snakes in all, and if all of them attack at once, they can suck out an entire body's blood in 11 seconds. They also say in that moment that if it's only one, it would obviously take 44 seconds to do it.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what happens to poor Berrigan. Rest in peace, brother.
Never had a chance.
No.
Yeah, he got mummified pretty much instantly.
Yes. Sakata then draws his gun and shoots the snakes, warning everyone to stay back in case there are more inside his body. As Kurapika begins to analyze the situation, Bobby Mina watches him and realizes his calmness, adding that he must have realized that the snakes weren't a Nen beast from any of the princes. Yuri checks on Lowberry and asks her about the weird woman, but Lowberry looks around and doesn't see her anymore. Hulkenberg's guards wonder if this attack was meant to interfere with their Nen training, and if it was a Nen beast from one of the princes that didn't send any guards to the lesson. We then end the volume with Kurapika thinking to himself that the current problem at hand is to find the assassin lurking among them.
Yeah, so we can infer that this is not a Nen beast, and this is an ability from one of the people in the room that are attending the Nen learning session, essentially.
Yeah, potentially one of those 4 that are keeping quiet about the fact that they have Nen.
Yeah.
Could maybe also be somebody else. Don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting conundrum, especially knowing that we don't really know how silent majority works, even. Just like small little hints, but like not really anything to get a full picture of. So it's interesting. So
we're ending a volume here in the middle of a conflict. Unfortunately, we don't get to see how this is resolved yet. But yeah,
this was when Hunter x Hunter went on a hiatus, right?
Yeah. According to that note, they started a hiatus the week after, and that was probably a very long one. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Actually, this was during an era where there was definitely more chapters coming out. Here, I can check actually.
It's funny to think of like going on hiatus on such a cliffhanger though, and which I'm sure is very common for Hunter x Hunter.
Oh my god! Wait till you see the next one.
Oh man.
So, yeah, this chapter that we just read came out September 4th, 2017, and then the following chapter came out on January 26th, 2018.
Okay.
So, not terrible.
It could have been worse.
Yeah.
Could be like the current hiatus.
Yes. So, yeah, that's the volume. What'd you think, Dylan?
I thought it was great. I think that it was on the wordier side for sure in terms of like just like how much was being explained and kind of the exposition being shown to us. But it was done in a way that it was very engaging throughout. I didn't really find myself bored while like reading through all these like really like wordy and lengthy explanations and just kind of expositions, like I said. It was really intriguing stuff, and I think I like how it showcases Oito's and Kurapika's like developing relationship even further, kind of sowing seeds for a bunch of different conflicts that may or may not come up in the future as well. Good to see that Crollo is indeed on the ship right now, and I'm really curious to see how that's going to unfold at some point, because I'm sure it will, and especially how that'll potentially intertwine with Kurapika and Serene Niche. I feel like that's kind of a weird triangle that's like destined to all intertwine at some point, but it's funny how that's going to be in the back of my mind though, considering everything that's happening now. So I don't know, just a lot of really interesting stuff, and I can't wait to see more.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I also really love this volume. I thought this is a great proper start to the succession contest. Last chapter we got like a glimpse of it, but this is like, okay, we're in the weeds now. Things are moving. So much is going on. There's also a crazy eventful volume too. Like if you think about where this volume started and where we end it, a lot happened.
Yeah, and there's still an information war going on about Nen and the Nen beasts and stuff, and that really developed a lot over the span of a day within the story. And it's only going to continue from here. It's a really interesting. I don't know. It's just really interesting right now. I wasn't ever a huge fan, like thinking back to the anime, especially of like when it really got deep into the political stuff. I like the 13th like chairman election arc, for example, but like it felt very disconnected from what I knew about it. But this is being presented in such a way where it's very like it's wrapping with a bunch of prior concepts and characters and whatnot. It's really hooking me a lot more, I think, with the environments here.
I do love the 13th Chairman election arc, but I do admit that this is a more balanced arc than that is, because Chairman election arc is literally 100% politics, aside from the subplot with Killua. Mm-hmm. But this is it's a lot more balanced. Like, there's a lot of very interesting things happening, some action bits, not a lot of action, but it's there. A lot of intrigue, and then also politics going on in the background. Well, also not really the background; it's kind of the forefront. But
yeah. The big thing really is just that Nen is like a focal factor within, like, kind of wrapping within the politics and the succession contests and whatnot, and that makes for very entertaining content. So
yes, absolutely,
it definitely hooked me for sure, and I really want to learn more.
Still got 30 chapters, so buckle in. Mm-hmm. All right, so next we are going to take a look at what you guys had to say from last week's episode. And again, thank you guys so much for actually commenting, and also just thank you in general. We got about 250 views on the last episode, which that's crazy for a channel that's just starting up. Yeah, and also 100 downloads on Spotify and Apple Music. So thank you all so much. That was great. Really appreciate it. Dylan, do you want to take these comments? Because I'm tired of reading.
yeah, I can take them. Right, but
thank you.
Yeah, no, I just want to add on to that, saying, thank you guys very much for supporting this, and hope to keep this going for as long as we can. So
yes, absolutely.
Thank you for being on this journey with us. So I'll take the listener comments here. We have Final Form Keith from YouTube saying, these are all from YouTube, I should just say first, but found you guys on Spotify after the first episode. Thank you both for doing this. Seriously, don't stop. This casual conversation style of recapping works so much better than the video essay stuff for me. It's exactly what I needed to get recapped for when the manga comes back this year, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So glad I found this, and again, please don't stop. You got a loyal subscriber here. Thank you very much for that. That means the world to us. And I'm glad this format works for you, and I'm really hoping it works for all of you even. I hope it's entertaining. So thank you guys for the support. Sure,
really thank you for that. That also that hit home for me too, because I'm also that same way. I really like hearing just people talk about things. I'm a really big fan of podcasts in general, especially like anime and manga podcasts. So a lot of the inspiration behind making this show was to have something like that for Hunter x Hunter, because it didn't really exist before. Yeah,
so that's great to hear. Thank you. Next, we have Chaos E-Tank. This is a mutual of mine from Twitter, actually, and someone that Kaige also knew as well back in the day.
Back in the day. It's nice to hear from you again.
Yeah, early Twitter communities, Smash 4 specifically.
Yes.
For Wii U. Great watch, guys. I would do anything to see the Spite get animated one day, LMAO, referencing Chrollo versus Hisoka. And yeah, I'm with you. That is a literal dream to see that animated one day in some way, shape, or form.
Oh my god, it's so high up there on like list of things I want to see animated. I just want it so bad. I want a lot of stuff from Hunter x Hunter that's not animated to be animated, but obviously that's number one.
I've said it before, even like an OVA would be awesome.
Yeah, do it. Movie?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And
that's the dream.
I'm sure one day in some form it'll happen. I just don't know when.
Should we ever get through Succession Contest in full, I really think they will sprint at the chance to get the anime going again.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Madhouse would knock it out of the park, I'm sure.
Oh my god, also. They've only improved since. I mean, since then they've done Free Run, and that was like one of the greatest animated things I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't even watch it. I just saw Twitter clips. But I can only imagine how much they would nail that.
Yeah, but thank you for the comment again, Chaos E-Tank. Next, we got Paige Max saying, OMG, absolute greatness, the greatest fight ever, referencing the exact same fight. I don't know about the greatest fight ever, but it is up there for me, at least in Hunter x Hunter. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
incredible
fantastic.
Fight.
Thank you for the comment.
Thank you.
And then we got Burley Bronsile, kind of listing some, some favorites of his, like within the series. Says one of my top 10 moments is post-mortem Terpsichore, reincarnated puppet. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, Kaige, is that referencing, which is that referencing specifically?
That's that's the post-mortem Nen stuff that Rex was talking about before, when...
Oh, with
after
Pito?
Gon, Yeah, after Gon like smashes her head in, and she kind of
Okay.
rises back up and takes off his arm. That's what she uses there.
I figured it was that. I just didn't want to say an event and end up being wrong. So yeah, thank you for correcting that. Yeah, that's
No
a very
problem.
cool moment for sure.
Yes.
One of my top 20 characters, fourth Prince Serenich. That's interesting to me. He's a lunatic in my eyes, but he could end up being a really interesting and cool character down the line. So I'm excited
He's
to see
very
what else he has to
interesting
offer.
for sure.
And then fourth favorite arc, Dark Continent Expedition arc, and that's
Sure.
kind of and that's kind of a bold statement to have considering the arc isn't even finished really. So unless you're talking about
Well, they're talking about what is commonly referred to. It's just those 9 chapters that we covered in the first episode.
Okay, yeah, which is not how I personally see it.
No.
But I respect that a lot. It is very
Those are 9 great chapters for sure. I cannot, in my good faith, call that an arc, but you guys do what you want to do.
No, more power to you to define what you want to define. And if that is your favorite, that's awesome. I'm really happy for you. And it is a highlight for sure of my experience with Hunter x Hunter. That is interesting perspective, cool moments and cool characters that you listed there. And thank you for the comment.
Yeah, and also thank you, because it's the same guy that also corrected us on 2 things earlier, so thanks for that. If we messed anything else up, let us know.
Yeah, I believe that's all the comments we have highlighted here.
Feel free to leave.
Feel free to leave more comments on this video, prior videos even. We'll be checking on those somewhat regularly.
You can even send us an email if you want. If you've got something like huge to say, some like massive theory, go for it. We have the email public, just hunterassociationpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, pretty much any of the avenues we've talked about before of contacting us or being able to leave comments with your thoughts on these chapters and volumes. Feel free to leave them, and we will do our best to go over them.
Yes. All right, and thank you all again. So this has been the Hunter Association. Thank you so much for listening. We are available on all major podcasting platforms as well as YouTube for a video version. Be sure to follow, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be here the same time every week talking about Hunter x Hunter. Dylan, where can people find you online?
Yep, so I am mostly active on Twitter, at DJ Tengen. That's DJTENGN. I still have the chopper icon. I will keep saying that every week just to make it easier on you guys if you decide to seek me out for whatever reason. I talk about a lot of gaming and anime stuff on there. Retweet some funny stuff that I come across. Most of the time also being gaming and anime related. So if that interests you, feel free to follow me there for some content.
Yeah, and that's also you can find me on Twitter at Kaige10, KIIGE10. And if you guys want, you can even reach out to us on Twitter if you have like comments or something to say, until I find it necessary or whatever to set up a Twitter for the account itself. Because right now I don't really think we have an audience big enough to warrant setting up a whole Twitter for it, but maybe at some point I would set up a Twitter and take in responses there. But if you guys want in the meantime, follow us there and send us something. We'll recognize it as part of the podcast. We're not going to be like confused and block you or something. We'll understand what you're trying to tell us. That's all we got this week. So if you are reading along with us, again, check out the post on our community section of YouTube if you have something to say about the next volume, which will be volume 36. All right. Yep. 36.
Yep. 36.
And make sure to read it, comment if you want, and we will talk to you guys next week.
Yep. See you guys next week.